arrest, detention, removal. This isn't just a state act anymore. It's a billable event. You understand? That means the corporations now have a vested interest in shaping immigration policy, just to expand the market for more detention and more deportation. But you have to understand, what is being captured is not just policy. It's the moral function of law itself in your country. I mean, the cynicism is breathtaking. Law now just becomes a delivery mechanism for corporate profits. ICE is just a corporate interface. It's not a government agency. It's not a government agency. It's a corporate interface. Its core operations, transport, detention, surveillance, those are all being handled by private contractors, by the Geo Group, by Core Civic, BI Incorporated, private charter airlines, even fintech ankle monitoring companies, private. None of these companies are deputized, but they're the de facto operators of everything that ICE is supposed to do. ICE is just a shell. All of the corporations, that's the substance. ICE is just a logistics operator. Policy is being written by investors. Stocks spike for all of those private prison companies immediately following any anti-immigrant executive orders, any deportation orders. Investor briefings from Geo Group and from Core Civic and so on, they literally celebrate any policy shift that increases detentions and deportations. Look, this isn't correlation, this is causation. The logic of finance capital now dictates state coercion. If Wall Street sees profit in suffering, then policy is adjusted accordingly. This is capture. I mean, when the system is like this, think about it. The more harm, the more profit. Overcrowding, delayed or denied medical care, lack of translators, for example, lengthy detentions, all of this increases their margins. Denial of basic rights just lowers their overhead. Geo Group gets paid by the head per day. So releasing detainees just hurts their revenue. Respecting rights, that's financially inefficient, meaning violating human dignity is now incentivized by the business model itself. Let that sink in. The state has not failed to regulate this. This is how they regulated it. Do you understand me? See, deregulation is still regulation, but it is the state regulating its own authority out of the affairs of business. It's the state regulating its own abdication of authority in favor of business. The Trump administration shut down DHS oversight offices that investigated abuses that took place in ICE custody. Why? Because oversight impedes profit. And in America, the state has no right to do that. The state has no right to interfere in profit making. That's the final stage of private sector capture. When the captured institution itself begins to dismantle its own power in complete capitulation and submission to capital, you're conquered, you're captured, you're defeated, you are subordinate as a country. Understand this. This isn't just corruption. Capture is more than corruption. It's much more than corruption. The state no longer holds the monopoly on so-called legitimate violence. It's just the broker of outsourced violence. The elected government is no longer accountable to the people. If it ever was, it's only accountable to shareholders. There's no longer a democracy by any definition in the United States. It's a cartelized corporate security regime, just draped in constitutional vocabulary. I'm telling you, ICE is a model for post-state governance. This isn't just a case of privatization, no. This is the template for how captured states are going to govern in the 21st century. Identify a social threat, immigrants, protesters, dissidents, what have you. Monetize their containment, outsource the enforcement, eliminate transparency, and then justify everything with security. And funnel all the proceeds to shareholders. What you're seeing is the transition from public governance to corporate dominion, as clear as day. Like I said, ICE is just the prototype, but education, health, policing, even war, it's already begun the same transformation inside the United States. And that, more than anything else, tells you that America is not in control of America. It's being operated by those who build the state to brutalize the population in America. That's who controls America. And that's capture. That's capture consummated. And what are you doing about it? If you're not resisting, you're colluding. If you're not protecting those who are being targeted, then you're just rehearsing to play the same role of everyone who's going to ignore you when you get targeted next. You know, if you're not trying to shut down the machinery of this abuse and oppression, then you're just standing in line waiting for when it's your turn to be abused and oppressed. I mean, let me speak plainly. If we're talking about what's going on in California, for example, well, obviously the moral high ground belongs to the resistors. Obviously, the moral high ground belongs to those who are hiding undocumented families. Obviously, all the neighbors who are forming human chains around ICE vans, you know, students who are exposing the abuse of ICE, lawyers who are fighting in court, obviously they have the moral high ground. Any citizens who are trying to pull funding from those deportation airlines, you want to ask, is this legal? You should be asking, is it just? Because legality is always the last refuge of tyranny. They will always find some kind of law, anyway, they write the laws to justify their crimes. And then they'll just say they're following orders. We all know that. That's what every regime in history did that needed to have a Nuremberg trial. No, ICE is the modern day Gestapo of a privatized police state. It doesn't exist to protect the people, it exists to protect the corporate order from the people. It's an agency of fear, it's an agency of separation, of erasure. And I'm telling you again, they are marauders, and you are their loot. And unless you resist, and I'm not telling you what form your resistance should take, that's up to you, but it should exist. Because the structure that you tolerate today is the structure that you're going to be buried under in the future. Because when they come for the undocumented, if no one stands up against them about that, then they're going to come for the rest of you. And there's not going to be anybody left to file the lawsuit on your behalf. You're always very loud about the so-called oppression that happens in the Muslim world, happens in the global South, happens in Africa, happens in Asia, happens in the Middle East, and so forth. And you're always talking about how you want to come and solve all of our problems. You want to advise us. You want to tell us what to do, how to be, and so forth. Meanwhile, your country is spiraling into dictatorship, spiraling into authoritarianism, and spiraling into privatized violence. You're being policed by marauders and mercenaries.